Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So it's time for our first mid-month mini mission inspiration of the year. Now this year we're having a little change in the format and we're using our brand new Randomiser machine, kindly built by Ian for us. So this is a motorized spinning device that will select a letter of the alphabet at random. So I've just shown you the machine, so I'll now show you the first spin of the year and see what letter we get. So we've got the letter S. So here's the card with your choice of 5 words beginning with the letter S. Of course, if you want to use a different word beginning with the letter S, that's entirely up to you. So I'm going to go for the word salvaged. So I'll switch over to my overhead camera and show you what I'm going to create. So this is my tag journal that I created specifically to do the mid-month mini missions for 2020 into. So I've already created my first tag to go in. Now this is just a piece of card, it's a craft card taken from a packet of dog biscuits. Ta-da! So I've used the front cover of my tag journal to create the template, and that's what I'm going to be working on for 2020. So all of my mid-month mini missions for 2020 will be done on these tags. Now for those of you that are interested, this tag is 8 inches high by 4 inches wide. Obviously the center point here is at the 2-inch mark, so you can literally just go up and then measure down and create your tags accordingly. There is a video where I did show you me creating this tag journal, and if I remember I will try and put one of those cardy things up here so that you can click on it and go back and watch that video of me creating the tag journal for this year if you want to. So the other thing that I'm going to be doing, because I've chosen the word salvaged from that list of words, I've gone through and hunted through my collection of bits and pieces of ephemera and that kind of stuff and pulled together things that I think are going to go well. So I've got a keyhole, some cogs, I've got a little clip, I've got a key, I've got some brads that I'm going to use, I've got some bits and pieces of ideology, trinkets and things that I've put together. So there's the clock face with a couple of those clock hands, and I've also used one of those countdown brads to put through with the word, or the number 20 in it, because it's 2020. I also have some wooden chips that were sent to me a year or so ago in Happy Mail, and I've never had an opportunity to use these. Now these are wood with obviously with a printed front, so we've got a dial, some vials with salvaged items, bits of metalwork in them, and there's a couple of kind of like architectural ones that are what look like Grand Tour souvenirs. So I've got that. I've also gone through my Tim Holtz chip quotes and actually found the word salvaged. Can you believe it? Oh, there's another one of those wooden chips there. Look, so you've got that one as well. So we've got all sorts of salvaged bits and pieces. But I've also gone into my ephemera collection and pulled out just a few bits and pieces. So there's a map, there's a bingo card, there's like a ledger, a receipt. Don't know what that is. What does it say? Report card as well, for layering into the background. But for the main background, I'm going to be using one of the sheets from my Digi-Download Rusty texture, or the textures collection. This is the Rust from the Rusty set, and this is one of the pages from that. I'll put the front cover on the screen now so you can see it. Now these are a set of 6 mixed media textures for you to you can Digi-Download, so you can Digi-Download them as if you could download them in any other way, print them out and then cut them in your project. And this is as is, so this is 100%. So they're 8 by 8. So this one I think is going to go really well for the background of my tag. So that's what I'm going to do to start off with. So I'm going to grab a pencil, I'm going to line that up at the bottom, And I think I want some of these rivets in there, but I think that down one side, I think there maybe, and I'll just line that up with the bottom, and I'm just going to draw around it with a pencil, make it super easy. Like so, and then just grab some scissors and then I can cut that out. Now all I've done is I've just printed this off on some light cardstock. It's not heavyweight and it's not ordinary kind of letter weight paper. It's somewhere in between, so it's kind of well, like I said, it's a light cardstock. For people who use the metric system, then it's round about 100 to 120 GSM, so not heavy at all, so just slightly heavier than standard letter weight. It's got a little bit of rigidity to it, but it's still flimsy, not like proper cardstock. So what I could have done with this, I could have just stuck my tag down onto the back of the card and then just trimmed around it using a knife, but that's fine. I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. Okay, so I can put those scraps to one side, probably not to use later because there's not really enough left. So that should be, in theory, the same size now as my tag. So all I have to do is just to glue that down onto the front. Hopefully my nozzle hasn't clogged up. There's nothing worse than a clogged up nozzle. There we go. Once we start to get the glue moving, and I'm not too bothered about the hole for now because I can add that a little bit later. Rub that towards the edge. Okay. And then we'll try and line that up as best we can onto the tag. Shuffle it down a little bit, then move it left and right just to line it up with the edges. Look at that, almost an exact fit. Just a little variation, but that's fine. Can trim that off later. Just give that a rub, just to smooth it out. But it doesn't matter if we've got a few bumps, because it's mixed media. Okay, so I just need to leave that to dry for a second or two, and then once it's dry, happy that it's dry enough for me to work on that and add some more medium. I'll be back in a few takes. Okay, so that's now pretty much dry enough for me to be able to work on it, and I don't know if anybody picked up on what I did earlier, but I made a little bit of a rookie mistake. Instead of sticking my printed cover to the card with the print on the front so that I had the craft on the back, I stuck it to the wrong side. So I should have really stuck it to this side so I had the brown on the back. Doesn't make any difference. Just means that I have to cover the back as well as the front. But never mind. You know, these things happen. Right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white gesso. This is just some white gesso from Indigo Blue, and I'm just going to take a little bit on my finger and I'm just going to start adding a little bit more of that paint into the background. Just to kind of create a bit of a base, particularly on the edges, for me to start building and adding other layers. So I'm creating a kind of grungy background that's already on a grungy background, but I don't really want that blue colour to be too strong in the foreground. I apologise if I keep using my middle finger, I know it offends some people. Okay, so while that's just kind of settling in and drying, because I'm rubbing it into the paper, it is drying pretty quickly. I have got some wet wipes here, some baby wipes. So I was hoping this project didn't take that long or too long, but I think it's probably going to take me about an hour or so. So I'll just quickly clean that up. One of these days I will tie this desk down to the wall so that it doesn't knock. Okay, so I've got some vintage photo distress stain. I'm just going to get a sheet of scratch paper, move those out of the way, and then just drop that on top, and then I'm just going to curl it a little bit. I'm just going to add some more grunge and stain into the background. Okay, that should do it. So again, get that dried off. Okay, so that distress stain has now dried a little bit, so I've got some nice grunge in the background, but I'm just going to take a little bit more of that white paint and just add it over the top now. So this will now start and react a little bit with that distress stain, so it'll start going off-white, but we've got extra tones in that background. But I've still got some of that rust and texture showing through from the background paper, so we're not losing it completely, not wasted it all completely. But using a background paper like that, I've explained, quite a few times to people who have asked comments or left comments or questions. It is like a foundation for a building. You might not see the foundations, but you know they're there, and it's what helps to keep your project. You've got a really nice grounding for putting extra layers on top, if that makes sense. Probably not. Anyway, right, so I'm going to take some of these chips now, and I'm going to place this one. Not going to need a huge amount of glue. That should do. So I'm going to put that one about there. There was hardly any wiggle room there at all. And then I'm going to put this next one there, I think. Like that. And then I'm going to put this architectural model I think I'm going to just put it there like that, just to add a slight angle. And then we've got this gauge. I'm going to drop just down there like that, and then we've got this tall flute. Actually, I might just put that there just to create a little bit more. In fact, yeah, let's use that one. Create a bit of depth and dimension. Or should I use the other one? Let's just wipe that off. Actually, I think I'm going to use that smaller one. It's better. Put that one there like that. That can sit. And then I might just stand that on top of there. Just gives us a bit more kind of depth. That's good enough glue actually to hold that, and I think I will stick that on there. Pity we haven't really got the height we can stick it on there, but let's put that just on the edge. Okay, so I might just put that one on there like that, because I have got something else that I want to use later. Right, let's just stick the dial on. So I'm going to put some glue there and some glue on there. And then drop that down on there. It's all about the layers. And I know this is going to be kind of a heavy project when it's done, but hey ho. Some glue there, some glue there, some glue there. This will dry clear, thankfully. So I'm going to, I've got that on my finger now, so I'm now going to drop that key, put it so it's resting about there. Now we haven't used any of that ephemera just yet, but I'm thinking that I probably might just use that map and that piece there as a layerer. A layering piece. Just grab a foam and some vintage photo distress archival. I was pretty disappointed to see that this year Tim's not releasing any more of the distress colours as archival inks. I was rather hoping he would. So it looks like they're just sticking to the 12, which is a bit disappointing, because I prefer the archival because it's permanent when dry. Much prefer it. Okay, so now we've aged that up a tad, let's get that glued up. I kind of had a picture of where I wanted to go with this in the back of my mind before I started, but it wasn't set in stone, if you get what I mean. It wasn't set in stone at all. I knew it was going to be kind of flexible, and I knew that some of the items that I'd chosen probably weren't going to make the final cut. Now then, before I do anything else, I'm going to bring in one of the paper dolls, because I kind of wanted him to be in on the act, but I don't think that's not stuck down yet, is it? Oh, look, fancy that. Why didn't you tell me? See, I might just be able to get him on there, but I'm probably going to end up losing that one. So what I might do is I might use him as the base in which to stand. Use him, glue him to the back of that key. It's not going to want to stick there, is it? It will stick, trust me, it will stick. Right, so as I was saying, I'm going to put some glue on there. Oops. And then stick that to the back. So that will then raise him up. I'm just going to push over just until that's it. I meet some resistance, and I could quite easily, because that key hasn't stuck down yet, lift him up and just drop that behind. Yeah, so I think that's going to work quite nicely. So I can now add some glue to the back of that. And then tuck him under and stick that down. Now, you're probably wondering how I coloured or tinted my little paper man. Well, I'm going to show you. I thought I'd got one, I'd left one out. Obviously I hadn't. Now, there are 2 or 3 different ways of doing this. He says frantically going and trying to find another one of his paper dolls. Oh, there we go. But I'm going to show you how I like to do it. So I've got some Faber-Castell pit pens. Now these pit pens are they're India ink, which means that you can play about with them until they're play about with them while they're still wet and pliable, but when they dry they are permanent. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to go over his face. Don't worry about his moustache. Okay, and you can blend the colour in. You see how it's tinting. And when it's dry, like I said, it will be totally permanent. Now you can keep building up the layers until you're happy with the colour. You can see how he's got that fleshy kind of tone, that Caucasian kind of tone. If you wanted to add some colour, so for example if you wanted to give him a green suit to match your project, which is why I've done blue, add your green and then just with your finger you can just blend it. Now sometimes I like to do this when I have using a Q-tip, or you can use a little bit of kitchen towel cotton wool, whatever, and you can add your colour. You see how, as I'm rubbing, that's not moving anymore, so I just have to add a little bit more in there, just to kind of tint. There you go. You can see that much better now. So that's how you can add tint using Faber-Castell Pitt pens. I know some people like to do it using the distress crayons or the distress markers, but they're water-based, you know, so, but I prefer using those. I know they're shiny still, but, you know, you can't have everything. Well, I suppose you can, but, you know. Okay, so what else do I want to add on here? Do I want to add anything up there? I did have all of these cogs as well that I maybe wanted to add a couple of those in, but I think that might be a bit like overkill. So what I'm going to do now is just using the archival ink, as I'm just going to add a little bit more darkness around there. And then down at the bottom. Love that kind of grunge pattern. Love that grunge in the background. Having those digi downloads is so cool to be able to get decent backgrounds without a lot of work. So there's the tag so far. So the only thing that I need to do now, just to finish off, is add the word salvage, which I'm going to do like that. But before I do, I'm going to bring out one of those Faber-Castell Pitt pens, and I'm just going to add some darkness. That might be a little bit too dark, but that's fine. That's better. So I could use distress ink, but as soon as I've got the pens, I may as well put them to use. I don't use these half as much as I should do, really. Paid good money for them. I haven't really used them. I know the big brush ones, that size, I think they've stopped making, but they are still making the ordinary size ones. So they're Faber-Castell, for those that are interested. Pitt pens, P-I-T-T. Okay, so grunge that up a little bit, but because I've got some blue in there, I'm going to also add just a little touch. See, it's just going that little bit green because it's reacting to the colour of the brown, which has got a little bit of yellow to it. A little bit there. Give it a little bit of patina. Happy with that. Flip it over, grab the glue. And then I can just add maybe the clip like that. Don't think it's going to stick down if I put that on the back. Bit of a shame. And then just to hold, I can just add just a touch of glue just where his head's going to go. Now if I just weight that down for a minute, that will stick. Okay, so I'll be back in a few secs. Don't worry, it's not another tag, it's the same one. While I was waiting for the glue to dry on the other side, I decided I was going to cover the back where I'd made that rookie mistake earlier. So all I did was take a scrap piece of Tim Holtz ideology paper. I'm not sure what set it's from because, like most of mine, I no longer have the covers, the pads have fallen to pieces, blah blah blah. So all I did was just glue it onto the back and then just trim it out while it was in situ. So all I have to do now is just to add some vintage photo just around those edges, just to kind of blend the paper in with the rest of the tag. So that's all I'm going to do quickly there. And I just picked some of the paper which I thought would go nicely on the back, which is in keeping with the style of what's on the front. So that should do, I think. Okay, so the front, now that it's dry, looks like that, but I did punch the hole through so I didn't lose it when I put the back on. So I knew where exactly I needed to punch. So all I have to do now is just to line up with my hole punch, my little hand punch, just line up with the previous existing holes and just punch through. And there we go. There is my mid-month mini mission mixed media tag, or try saying that when you've had a drink, for January. So I can now add that to my tag journal. So there's my cover, my protector, because there was two, front and back. I decided I was going to do one for the next month already. So I can now add that into my journal and we're done. Because I've used the card, I don't need to add a hole protector. I could, if I wanted to, add something just on the top, just as a little bit of decoration at a later date, but I think that's enough for today. So like I said, I hope you've enjoyed watching me do that. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.